the afternoon here. My buddy Jerry had stuff to do and gave me a chance to go over my machine, checking the air fork pressure, shock pressure, tire pressures, lubing the clutch and brake pivot, just giving the bike a once over, cleaning the windshield very well. It's a beautiful day. It's about 79 degrees. And the humidity is low. I'm riding the Venture today. I'm headed to Blairsville, up old Route 22. For some barbecue. I increased the rear shock air pressure from what I usually run it at in the high teens, low 20, about 20 pounds max. The owner's manual said you can run up to 57 pounds in the shock, but always only 7 pounds in the forks. Well, I checked my forks. They were down to around 5. And I upped them to the max, which is 7. And I took the rear shock up to 28 pounds. And I can feel the difference. It feels a little bit lighter on its feet. I'm running, let's see, 36, 38, 36 front tire pressures. Oh yeah, I can feel the difference over those little speed bumps that Mother Nature gives us in the road sometimes. I never ran the rear shock at that pressure before, which is half of what the maximum recommended is. Well, a little more than half. And a curious thing about this shock, I've changed the oil in it twice. Once 2 years ago, and last year I changed the oil. It's a simple matter of just removing the shock, 2 bolts, taking off the air hose and letting the oil drain out into a measuring cup. I let it drain overnight, and I only put back in the amount of oil that I got out, which I think was around 125 cc's. I used 20 weight fork oil. But the bottom bushing on this shock looks damp. The rubber boot over the shock that looks like a bellows. It looks like it had oil on it. But when I changed the oil for the second time last year, I got out exactly as much oil as I put in the previous year. So I don't know if that's just a tiny bit of seepage onto the piston rod of the shock, or what. But it is not a big leaker or even a little leaker. It just, I don't know where that staining comes from on the bellows, on the boot, on the cover over the shock. This upcoming section of road will be a good test of the shock. It's a little bit rough and neglected. Oh yeah, the bike definitely steers quicker. It feels lighter on its feet with a little more air in the shock. Oh yeah, maybe it's the placebo effect, but it definitely feels like it's handling this road a little better. This is getting a little washboardy. You always got to watch out on these roads that are partially covered by shadows from the trees. You run into the strobe effect, and you really can't see hazards on the road when your eyes can't really adjust because of the constant change of light. Worse when you're headed into the sun. Got a tailwind. The leaves are turning up, but there's no rain in the forecast. Oh, I forgot. I fixed the clock. I set it to clock instead of odometer. 4:17. I've had people mention to me that the arc, the travel of the speedometer indicator dial, is not always smooth. And that is true. I don't know if that's analog or a digital thing that I'm seeing there, that arm, but you can see how it sort of moves in notches. But the sensor is on the left side of the swinging arm. Just a wire plugged into the drive shaft. Watch the speedo. See, it's not smooth on these things. That's just the way they are. are coming up on the high price area to live in. The great Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Jack Lambert and Rocky Blyer, they live in here. I won't show you where. At least they did. I know Rocky still lives in here. Guys that I worked with, when they would have to go to Rocky's property, they said that he would come out and practically drag them into the kitchen to have coffee with him. They say he is a really, really genuinely nice guy. This intersection always makes me nervous because neither one of these, this guy here does not have a stop sign, and he can go either way. You only get about 10 of these types of days a year with the low humidity and comfortable temperatures. And it is Sunday evening. I would imagine we're going to run into a lot of people returning home from, the term is up camp. They don't say they have a cabin. They say they're going up camp. And you can tell on the interstates, especially 79 and Route 8, the people coming home from being up in western Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh, south of Erie. That's like playland. Sparsely populated. Good place to go fishing and hunting. If you hunt, which I don't. Oh yeah, just under 30 pounds in the rear shock really made a difference. The ride, the steering, the suspension tautness, it makes the bike feel like it's lighter. Feels like a different machine. That's the way my Goldwing GL 1800 felt after I upgraded the shock spring and the fork springs. When I bought the Goldwing, it only had 13,000 miles on it, but it was 16 years old, still had the original tires. And I think it was on the side stand its whole life. So it just felt like those springs were clapped out. So I upgraded the fork springs and the shock spring, and it really made a difference in how it just seemed like that bike just shed 100 pounds. It just was flickable, more flickable than it was with the old mushy tired suspension. I used Progressive brand shock springs and fork springs, and I just went with the standard springs. I never like to buy heavy duty anything. I don't want, or racing. I don't want racing oil or racing spark plugs or racing tires for this reason. Racing stuff is only designed to last one race. Spark plugs, tires, oil, they don't leave that oil in there for 6 months. Racing oil, they change that every week. So, and I don't want heavy duty shocks or springs on my cars or trucks or motorcycles. I don't want that bone jarring ride. I just want the standard duty stuff. We are going to be crossing the Halton Bridge here. I came across this bridge. They just put this new sewage treatment plant in here. Oh my God, the wind was wrong. It was below, oh God, I don't know how these people are going to put up with this. That is, roll up the window and hold your nose. My God, does that stink. Yeah, this part of the Allegheny River is playland. Boating, skiing, fishing. There's not much industry, if any, upriver from here. Pittsburgh is down that way about 5 miles. The end of the Allegheny River. Well, that's enough for now.